Welcome to Vintage Bricks. James here, your host. Today we're going to talk about the classic black Monarch's castle, which is a black knight castle from 1988, pinnacle of the fold-out castle sets from this golden age of castles.
First, a bit of castle history.
Obviously there was some limitation with the color of bricks that could be produced in the 1980s. What first came out for the castle sets was the 375 or 6075, which was a predominantly yellow castle. Then there was a few years off, and then they came in with the Black Falcons and the Lion Knight sets, which were predominantly gray with a little bit of the black trim. So what really brings the Black Knight sets into full view is the color theme of the predominant black with the gray as the highlight color.
A quote from Building a History, the Lego Group by author Sarah Herman. Quote, "The move from building gray castles to introducing distinctive black structures is something designer Jens Nygaard Knudsen remembers well. We kind of liked it, but it didn't please Godfried," he recalled. "Maybe it brought back memories he had from the war. I don't know. It did take us a long time to convince him, though, and prove that the Black Castle brought a dramatic aspect to the theme, not an evil aspect." Time to make a Black Knight fortress. One of the hallmarks of the sets of this era is they are, quote, interconnective, which means I can unpack them like that, swing them open, and then connect them to other sets. In this case, the very same set, the 6085. And I practiced this once to make sure it actually work. Hopefully it does here. And then you can create this giant courtyard, which is probably more representative of a castle. Oop, there goes a flag. Gotta put that back on. Those flags are just super easy to knock over. You touch them and they go flying. But in any event, I am swinging these open here, and that's kind of looking pretty good here. I have a lot of horsemen up there cheering me on. That guy's in the way. Let's move him out of the way. Now, it still doesn't seem quite right at the far end away on the right there, so I'm going to open those up a little bit. You can actually make, just with 3 sets, you can do this. Now, you can actually connect these to your Lion Knight sets and other sets of this era. They connect pretty well. But I'll keep the black theme going here, so I'm going to, but there we go. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, I got to fiddle a little bit. Get these. They have Technic pins. I removed the Technic pins so it's easier just to place them next to each other for the video here. So there we go. And now all my little army guys could go run in there. So let's try this again. This time we're going to cut back to only 2 of the 6085 Black Monarch castle sets. But I'm going to add a 6086, the Black Knight's Castle from 1992, and also the 6059 Knight Stronghold. So let's first set up our 2 Monarch's castles here. Going to put them next to each other at the back. These, again, they fold out really nice to make these walls here. Okay, now you can, of course, see where I'm going to put the Black Knight's Castle. I got a big space for it there. And this is, I like this setup because it's got a little variety here. Here he comes. Oh, lost that. I have to set that up later. But this has that little Tudor look to it, which is a beautiful feature of that raised base plate set. And then add the wall in here. And there we have it. A different way to make a little city. Now for a quick alternative build. These older boxes are very magical, and this one's no exception. The 6085 had beautiful artwork on it. The inside and the back had these alternate builds, and I thought, let's give one a try. The bottom left one, you'll see in a second. I thought I'll give that a try. Spend a couple hours taking this apart and putting it back together, and then making the photo on the right there, and then creating a different background for it. I think it turned out pretty nice. Give these alternate builds a try. It's a fun way to get to know your pieces better. Let's take a little closer look at the minifigures. There are 12 minifigures and 4 horses, 4 knights, and 4 archers, and 4 foot soldiers. Pretty complete set all around. When you line up the knights together, they look pretty impressive. Two of them had the fancy red and blue bardings. The knights were super strong in the set. They all had the gray breastplate printed. They had the black grilled helmets. Here's a close-up of that. And then as we turn the knight around, you can see the red cape here, and he's decked out on the right. These bardings, make sure that the clips are intact. Since these clips are so fragile due to age, I avoid clipping things into them. Of the 8 foot soldiers, 4 of the red torsoed chainmailed ones had the axe or the spear. And here we can see the blue chainmailed soldiers had, the 4 of those were the archers. Let's look at the build a little bit. The set, of course, had almost 700 pieces, and it was really the upgrade from the King's Castle from 1984. Upgrade in the sense that everything about this castle had a little more detail, and with that comes 4 distinct levels from ground floor to the top of where the portcullis goes up into the front there. A little rotating here. Get an idea of how those octagonal corner pieces give it a finished look that's really unmatched from sets of this era, except perhaps for the Guarded Inn, which came out a year earlier. So, the Lego group, Jens Knudsen and his gang had, all cylinders firing as they constructed this sort of pinnacle of fold-out castle. One thing that gave this more detail than maybe later sets is that these early sets had a brick-built portcullis or a gate that rose and could be lowered to secure the fort at night. From what I've read, the Black Knight as a faction wasn't officially named until 1992 when the Black Knight's fortress or castle was released. What made them unique at this period, of course, was the black coloration, but they also had the Wyvern Dragon shields, which was, of course, different than the Crusaders. And then it kind of morphed into what the Dragon Knight faction in the 1993. The Wyvern Dragon was unique in that it had 2 back legs, but no front arms. Those wings were really its arms. It was used quite a bit in medieval emblems throughout Europe. So a fine choice for the Black Knights. So as I fold up our Black Monarch's castle, I want to thank you for joining me today and hope you come back again soon. Thank you for visiting Vintage Bricks.